having a good time at your conference. You might have noticed a lot of activity in the gallery space with the students. Well, what we wanted to do is tell you a little bit about the Student Innovation Challenge. What is it and what we're going to present today. The Student Innovation Challenge is something that DLR created to highlight students in active learning and showing them collaborating and teaming together and working out a problem that's like a real-life problem and coming up with a solution in a very short period of time where they can be innovative in their solution, that they can begin to use resources that are all around them. In this case, they're here at this conference. They may have talked to many of you, or you may have walked by and saw them working and asked them what they were doing, and they probably picked your brain. So that's part of the challenge, is not only coming up with innovative solutions, but really finding resources. And what we hope that you would begin to see as educators, administrators, superintendents, is the idea of what active learning can look like in your schools. And it doesn't have to happen in a classroom. It can happen anywhere. And what you saw was a space set up with fairly flexible furniture that they could use any way they needed to work on their problem. So we have 4 districts represented that participated. There were 4 students from each school that were selected by the school system. And the 4 school systems were Derby, Hayes, Wyandotte, Kansas City, Kansas, and Ottawa. And we want to really show appreciation for these school systems that allow their students to take time out, and also their chaperones who took their time out to volunteer to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Patrick, and he's going to show a few slides and just go into a little more depth of what the actual challenge was for these students, what we gave them.
So this year's challenge centered around natural disaster relief in the country of Haiti. So within the last few years, hurricanes and earthquakes have had a devastating effect on the population and life. So it posed a very real problem for the students to focus on and innovate solutions for. So we broke from natural disasters, we broke it into 4 categories that the students had to compete against, being ensuring access to safe water, preventing the spread of infectious disease, providing housing and critical infrastructure, and allocation for adequate food supplies during natural disasters. So the students have had about a month to research each topic. Yesterday at noon, when we got together for the first time, they drew for the topic that they were going to compete with. So they've had about 24 hours to come up with the solutions, which is amazing, and amazing to see them work and innovate.
So what we'd like to do is we would like to have all the teams come on up here. We'd like to acknowledge that everyone that participated, they did an amazing job. So if you could just make your way on up, we can acknowledge each of the school districts. Now they haven't been told who's the winner yet, so we're going to announce the winner, and we do have a prize, educational stipend or check that we're going to give each student that's on the winning team. So one of the things that we had to do in only a few minutes time, I mean, as a team, we did evaluate them all through the process. And it wasn't just the presentation that was important to us. It was their process, how well they worked together, how they found their sources and so on. There was quite a lot of criteria there. But there's always one thing that we look for that will make one group shine just a little bit brighter. And in this case, it really was very close. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, very close. But we really want to congratulate Hayes as the team that we chose. And one of the reasons that we chose them, it wasn't, they ended up having the housing, and being architects, that looked like an obvious, oh, well, that's why you picked them. But I want to say that it really wasn't. It was the innovation and creativity that they put together to try to come up with their solution. And the fact that they actually went out to Walmart last night and bought materials to try to build a model. I mean, they really went all out, every step of the way, and just helped them to climb. I mean, their presentation, all the presentations were really good. And theirs was really good too, but again, taking everything into account. And so we want to congratulate them, but we want to congratulate every one of you because you all did an awesome job. We really are proud of you. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to invite the Hayes team to come up, introduce themselves, and we want to give them a few minutes to run through their presentation for the enjoyment of all of you. So if the rest of you would like to go ahead and have your seat, and we'll let them take it from here.
Well, we'd like to thank the DLR Group, of course, for giving us this wonderful opportunity, and our sponsor, Ms. Cheryl Shepherd Adams. Please. Hi. Oh, yeah. I just want to explain the basketball real fast, if possible. All right. Well, our fourth team member couldn't be here today because she had a wedding, but she was here all day yesterday through our crazy Walmart trip where Franklin originated. So since she's not here, she's here in spirit.
While she's queuing up, I just wanted to thank a few folks. It was really not possible to do this without the help of the KASB family, and in particular, there are a few people that I'd like to acknowledge. The first acknowledgement is Scott Rice. And they're with the Office Works in Kansas City, and they supplied all the furniture for them to use. But also, I wanted to thank the KASB folks to just organize everything. Andrea Hartzell and her team were just amazing. I mean, everything we needed, everything they needed, they were right there. So anyway, without further ado, turn it back over to you.
This project wouldn't have been possible without any of my teammates and our teacher, chaperone, Mrs. Shepherd Adams. And we thank her for all the support that she's given us, and thank the teammates for all the, the bond that we've created over these past 24 hours, really. And it's really amazing what we can come up with whenever collaborating, even looking at the other schools' presentations. The collaboration and teamwork that they put in really, really reflects what can be achieved if we just come together. And that's what this is about. This is about innovation. This is about collaboration. So the first aspect, whenever discussing the problem in Haiti, is why should we do it? Well, you see, in 2010, whenever the earthquake hit, a lot of their housing and infrastructure, which was poorly designed because of the lack of, I guess, codes and regulations, really got damaged. As a matter of fact, after Hurricane Matthew, BBC reported that 80 to 90% of homes were damaged or destroyed. And this creates the issue of, well, do we have to build from the ground up? Like, where do we begin in this daunting task? You see, and the same goes with the roads. Many of the roads hadn't been rebuilt since the U.S. occupation in the 1930s. And so we have to think of how to integrate what's already existing and how to use what we have to get to the end goal. At the end of the day, everyone deserves a place to live. All right. So we had the idea for the housing issue of elevated geodesic dome housing and pressure dispersing landscaping around roads. As the model demonstrates, it's kind of dome in shape because it'll be more aerodynamic and wind resistant, as well as water resistant and resistant to mudslides. Because it sits on 4 pillars, it'll be able to have a little bit of leeway with the integration of rubber tires as spacers to give it a little bit more leeway, so it's more earthquake resistant and resist seismic activity, natural disasters. See, we wanted to solve the problem in 2 steps. We wanted immediate relief, naturally, but we also wanted to deal with this in the long term. We want to leave Haiti better than we left it, or found it.
The advantage to the geodesic domes is it can be built using factory panels. You can mass produce these, get them wherever you need to go with relative ease, as they're all made of wood with a layer of wire mesh inside of it. When we talked to some of the representatives over at the conference, some of the recommendations were to use that overlapping material because it would provide similar stability that concrete would, but it would be far easier to transport and far easier to produce with the materials that are left on hand.
It would be an integration of local resources. It would be mass producible, easy to build. As for infrastructure, rebuilding the roads, we had the idea of landscaping, I guess kind of ditches as a...
Yes, we create artificial floodplains in order to help divert the flow of water away from roadways and other critical structures. And then in places where it is feasible to do so, we would use gravel on the embankments so that when the water would get too high, it would seep through the gravel and away from the roadway.
Going back to why we do this, you see a lot of the structures that they had were completely gone. The roads that were poorly built are basically now non-existent. And so whenever it does get hit by a natural disaster, because this is a very disaster-prone place, they are left with almost nothing. And we take that for granted a lot of the times. And so by outreaching to Haiti, we are able to, I guess, kind of incorporate it into our own personal lives as well. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming out here. Are there any questions? Yes.
Did you already know about geodesic domes? How did you learn about them?
Geodesic domes is actually something we learned about in our kind of like researching session yesterday. We were bouncing around ideas of what material we would use from concrete, brick.
Yeah, we looked at making a dome, and we decided that a geodesic dome would be far easier to transport or produce than a regular dome would.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, who are you gonna tell about your idea? And how are you gonna get this information to people or relief efforts in Haiti? And do you see any possible way that this could actually become a sustainable reality for their relief efforts?
Integration of the media. Social networking is a really big influence. And if we act on this, we can provide mass relief as well as a rebuilding of not only their structural foundation, but their social foundation as well.
What does one house cost?
One house.
Each of the buildings is designed to be variable, so we found it's a little under $20 per panel, and each panel is about 3 foot wide. So you can make one for under $500 for the most basic needs, but it is scalable to whatever your needs are.
Yeah, the incorporation of geodesic domes gives us a lot of leeway on size as well as material.
Now I introduce yourself.
My name is Joe Factor. This is Keegan Chapman, and that's Brianna Brin.
Thank you, folks.